Welcome to the Superconscious Success Podcast, where Jen and her Superconscious Success family co-hosts bring you valuable content each and every week on topics relating to manifestation, spirituality, and most of all, using your superconscious to manifest success in all areas of your life. Now on to today's episode.
Hey there, Superconscious Success fam. Just before we get into the interview, this is just a brief message. This is actually a recording of the 2021 Superconscious Success Summit interviews. If you do want to check out the introductory for all of the guests, then you can go across to our Superconscious Success YouTube channel where you'll be able to find all the introductions. These particular podcast interviews will be the interview only. Okay, thank you. Now let's get on to the interview. Hi, Superconscious Success fam. Welcome back to another amazing interview on the Superconscious Success Super Summit. So in this interview, we're going to be talking to none other than Dreamtracker Bambi Corso. If you have not yet heard her introduction interview, make sure you head across to the Superconscious Success YouTube channel, and we have an amazing introduction which will give you a bit of an insight as to who Bambi is. So, Bambi, hi, how are you today?
Hi, Jen. I am very well, and I'm thrilled to be here with you today.
And I am so excited to have you here too, to let the audience know about what dream tracking is and how they can use dream tracking to be able to reach higher levels of consciousness and to be able to really expand as to what their desires are and who they are, and I'm excited to go into this with you. Now you have a new book and a new course which will be launched shortly, if it hasn't yet been done by the summit, but that will help people to really delve into that deeper. But I think that this interview is going to give them some great insight into dream tracking. So let's start off by just asking, why is it important that people pay attention to their dreams?
Well, we're always being informed by something else. And, it's not like the heavens have tossed us down into being human without any kind of guidance. And so I look at dreams as an internal navigation, a guidance provider that gives us insights and helps us along our journey. And when we learn to pay attention to our dreams, something else comes in to our day-to-day life, because we're receiving information from different types of outside influences or from spirit. And so paying attention to your dreams opens up a whole nother dimension into being human, really, and allows us to hear things and see things that we wouldn't maybe always pick up on. That in turn kind of helps us do more reflecting and helps us to become more conscious and more self-aware and even listen more to our own inner voice.
Yeah, because when we're dreaming, that's actually an opportunity for our higher self and for our angels and our spirit guides and, as you've said, higher intelligence to really connect to us. Yeah. And so when we're dreaming, anything is possible. Mm-hmm. And so all of our desires and all of, you've heard of people that are flying in their dreams or, but the problem is that sometimes we can over interpret our dreams, and we can think that they mean things literally when actually they mean something else. So is that something that you've found happens frequently with your coaching clients?
Yes, until people start learning how to work with their dreams. But I remember one person who her husband had dreamed that she had an affair, and when they woke up in the morning, and of course, this was so far from the truth, he was so pissed off at her, he didn't speak to her all day. So, taking things literal like that, it definitely not always the most helpful, but looking at things symbolically changes the dream work completely.
So would that, so something like that, say that somebody had a dream like that, would that come down to a deep-seated fear that he may have had in regards to the relationship, or in regards to his own how do I put it, to his own fears that he's got in his body. Is that the sort of symbolic message from something like that?
Some portion, yes. And
Yeah.
I think, it depends per person what that's going to be. So yes, absolutely that. And it could also be showing that there's, something going on with your boss, and, the boss is secretly interviewing somebody to replace you, and you're picking up on it, but you don't
Yeah.
really know about it. Or, you start looking at things from a symbolic sight, as Carolyn May so beautifully has put it, that you see things more for, what's the energetic around it? What is the action? What is the setting? What is happening in the dream that may also be going on in another area of life? Because often we're not going to dream about the exact person that we're having the issue with. And so it shows up as somebody else.
Yeah,
and sometimes
absolutely.
that person will have similar qualities, or it could be, male, female.
Right. So this is why it's really important that we don't take dreams literally, and believe that, as your client did, that just because you dreamt that someone had an affair, it might be an idea to talk to them before you give them silent treatment for a day. But I think it's if somebody was wanting to delve into their dreams a bit more, are there resources out there that can sort of give you some of these symbolic ideas?
Yes, and I just wanted to pick up on one thing you said prior,
Yeah.
and that is that there are prophetic dreams that do in fact tell you something literal that is going on. It's just that does not happen that often.
Okay.
But of course, I want to make a space for the fact that does happen also.
Absolutely.
And as for resources, it's interesting because back when I first started studying dream work, there was dream dictionary. So it would say, well, if you dream about, a lion, it has to do with power and, aggression or whatever. The reality is, though, that a lion to me is going to be very different than a lion to you.
Yeah.
And so we each have our own associations, our own connections, our own, responses to that type of an image. And so it's so individual to do your own dream work without being told by somebody else what your symbols mean.
Yeah.
And I think that's just a really crucial part of even just a first step in dream tracking, is you start understanding or looking at what the image is, but what is it to me? If I dream about a boat, what are my associations? Well, funny, I don't have a lot of associations to boat, because boat is not something that's in my waking life. So what is it that I know about it? What is it used for? How do you just start to get to know what the image is, and start, you can create your own dream dictionary. But generally, I just, it's so much about just getting to know your own images and see what shows up as it relates to what's going on in your life at the same time, within 24, 48 hours.
And just connecting the dots, I suppose.
Yeah.
And I think too, when we talk about consciousness and how dreams can really help us with consciousness, I think it's also recognizing that our higher intelligence will actually come to us in our dreams in many different ways. And they will come to us in different ways than they might go to somebody else. So it is very important that we connect what is happening on, an individual level, as opposed to, like Bambi says, because I've had some of those dream dictionaries and I've looked through them and they're very fascinating.
Yes.
But like you said, it's not necessarily the same for everybody. So dream tracking yourself is really, really important. So when you're dream tracking, what is a process that is involved in dream tracking?
Well, the most basic part of dream tracking is just beginning to write down your dreams. And so many people, they have their dreams, but then they're gone within a few minutes. And without having that log of what it was that you were dreaming, you can't really go back and see if an image has showed up before. So, in the clients that I've worked with, the first thing I have them do is start writing down your dreams. And I usually won't even meet with them for about 2 weeks, and then have them bring everything. And together we start looking for, okay, is there a similar image? Is there similar actions, emotions, settings? Are the dreams taking place at a certain time of year? You just start looking for parallels between dreams. And tracking is not designed to be interpretation per se. I mean, yes, we're always kind of mining for some kind of meaning and something that we can take out of the dream, but I like to stay out of saying, well, this means that, because then I've limited the dream to one thing and it can't ever be anything else. It can't continue to inform me the same way as if I'm tracking and I'm staying much more open to noticing and then watching what else starts happening in dreams moving forward as well, and see how images are evolving and how I am evolving with them.
Absolutely. And so we know that dream tracking is really important, but what would someone's end result be when they're trying to track their dreams? Is it to expand and take notice of their dreams so that they're able to sort of like make good decisions, or what's the ultimate goal for that?
Ultimate goal, I think it depends, per person, what you want to get out of it also, but I think ultimately it's about becoming self-aware.
Yeah.
And it's about really tuning into, again, these energies that are constantly trying to inform us, because I could have a dream one day that says, don't turn left, and I remember that during the day while I'm driving, and I don't turn left, and thank goodness, because there's some reason I shouldn't have turned left,
Okay.
We don't know always why we're receiving the information that we are, but I think dream work is also about trusting this unknown that is constantly at work in our life. And so the more that we can meet the dream and work with the dream images, I think the higher our sensitivity level is raised for us to pick up on and become more conscious, more self-aware.
Absolutely, because as long as we've got the physical form, it's much more difficult to connect. So dream work is the perfect way to do it. Now, I know with myself, sometimes dream recall is a real issue. And so you may dream overnight, because does everybody dream overnight?
Everybody dreams, but a lot of people think that they don't dream because they don't remember anything.
Yeah.
But dreaming it's something that every human being does.
And so how can you improve that dream recall if you're having trouble remembering your dreams in the morning?
Good question. I'll give you just a couple of things. The first one is just setting the intention. It's like, if I decide I want to buy a red Honda, I suddenly start seeing them everywhere because it's in my energy field. So if I make an intention that I want to start remembering my dreams, that's the first step. And keeping an open notebook with a pen and a flashlight right next to the bed, so I'm ready to go. As soon as I remember something, I can immediately write that down. But intention setting is huge. I have found reading books about dreams or watching a documentary about dreams totally opens me up to way more dreaming and more dream recall, because now I'm in the pool of dreams, right? Gosh, you can go back to old dreams that you've had. Maybe you remember one from childhood. You can rewrite that dream now, and it kind of activates this dreaming part of ourself, and that helps us also to develop more recall. So there's so many little things that you can do, and it doesn't have to be difficult. Just set the intention by even just saying, I'm going to remember my dreams, and I continue to say it every night before I fall asleep. I will remember my dreams as soon as I wake up, and I put that in my head as I fall asleep, and I'll be more oft to remember my dreams that way.
Fantastic. What about people that have recurring dreams? Is there a reason behind that? Is it that the message hasn't gotten through, or why would someone have a recurring dream?
Recurring dreams are so interesting, and often, and I'm going to, anything that's kind of PTSD related, I'm not going to go into because I am not a therapist, but it does happen in that as well, because people are continuing to relive situations and traumatic events. But in a regular setting, recurring dreams often they're trying to get your attention, right? Yeah. So I have a dream and I didn't do anything about it. and I have the dream again, and I haven't done anything about it. And, maybe it's because I just need to have a talk with somebody. Maybe there's something unresolved that happened in a relationship. I have one man that I knew who started having recurring dreams, and when we went back, we looked to when did they start? For him, he was around 18, and they had gone on until he was almost, I don't know, 25 or 30, I mean, many, many years. And what he realized is looking at when they began, what was going on, what was significant at that particular point in time that may be unresolved. And for him, it was his parents had divorced, and that was just very, very traumatic for him. And so he would continue to have the same dream for years and years and years. And once he finally understood what was going on and why they had started, it was then that he was able to heal from that, and then the recurring dreams stopped. So generally, they're trying to bring something to your attention, but it's usually something unresolved.
So our
ego,
our ego's not listening to it, and it's standing in the way. And so if you have a recurring dream, it's really important that you do start to delve into why that may be happening. And also another really interesting thing that happens sometimes is you'll be dreaming, and then you'll wake up from this dream, and then when you go back to sleep, then the dream continues. Why would something like that happen?
I find that just as fascinating, and I don't know why that is, because that doesn't happen to everybody. But it happens to some. I mean, I have known so many people who, they can just pick up the story where it left off. So I wish I had an answer for why that happens, but it's so fabulous when it does. I mean, I just think it's so neat, but it's not something that's been my own personal dream experience.
Yeah, because I know that's happened to me a couple of times where I've woken up and then I've gone back to sleep and the dream has just continued. And, it's like, it's quite strange. And if it's a good dream, then it's nice. But some people also experience it with nightmares as well, which is, not so great. Now, what about nightmares? What's happening during nightmares? Why would somebody be having a bad dream as opposed to a good one?
Well, so nightmares they're a little bit similar to recurring dreams. I mean, it can be anything from just having terrible anxiety about an exam you're having the following day, and that anxiety, produces nightmarish figures, to something that needs to be dealt with in your life that you're not facing at all. And generally, with nightmares, I'll tell people, go back and see the last month or 2 months of dreams and see if there's anything similar that was like a smaller version of that in there, because chances are, Jen, that this energy has been trying to get a hold of you and trying to communicate with you, and you've just been no.
Don't want to deal with it, because often a lot of it is fear-based, and sometimes when we have a lot of fear, we don't want to deal with it because it seems too scary. So and that's when you find that nightmares will start to appear. So I think it is very important, as Bambi said, that you go back to the last couple of months and see exactly what's been happening, and if there's a message in there you've been ignoring, because we may deal with some of the messages and then other ones are too hard to deal with, especially if you've had something traumatic happen, and this is where healing from that comes in really handy. So and I believe it does affect future dreams. So absolutely. Fantastic. And so the dream state, I know that we go into different states during our sleep, our alpha, our beta, our delta, all the different states there. So what state is it that we are actually in our dreaming state? Is that REM, non-REM?
Yes, I mean, they everything that I've read says that you're dreaming when you're in the REM state.
Okay.
However, that being said, in my own experience, I can start dreaming immediately upon falling asleep. So, and because I'm not a scientist, I'm sure that there are, sleep research studies that show a lot more detail, but I do find it interesting that some people have that experience in a certain level of sleep, but again, it doesn't seem to always be 100% that way.
Yeah. I suppose like with everything else, it comes down to individuality. And because you've been doing dream work for so long, it's probably really quite easy for you to enter that dream state, because your body has already got the intention set that you're going to remember your dreams every night. That's just set. But if you're just new to this, start to set the intention. And, you know, it may take a few nights for that to kick in, but set the intention that you're going to be waking up and remember your dreams. So writing down the dreams is really important, because obviously we want to be able to go back to it and see what our dreams were, and then put pieces of the puzzle together and figure out exactly what our higher intelligence is trying to tell us during our dreams. So what are some tips that you can give people for journaling their dreams?
Oh, the two things that I think are they're very simple, but I think they're the most important. The first one is to, at the top of your dream journal, make a few day notes about the day. And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to sit here spending 10, 20 minutes doing this. Just write a few sentences, anything that was emotionally charged, anything that was new and different, or just things that happened that you can refer back to, because in 2 months, when you look back on your dream journal, you are never going to remember that all that stuff was going on that day. So the first thing is always just make some day notes, even if you never remember the dream, just continuously add them to your dream journal. The second thing is write your dreams in the present tense.
Okay.
And writing them, this makes such a big difference, Jen. And the example that I use is, so imagine that, past tense. I dreamed that I was in jail and it was cold and I was lonely. If I bring it in the present tense, I am in jail and I am cold and I am lonely. And there's a huge shift into bringing the dream into the here and now, which, when we think of dreams, we think of them as happening in the past, but they're not really happening in the past. They are happening right now. So being present with the dream and writing them in the present tense that alone could give me a huge insight into something if I just changed the tense that I'm writing in, to how I'm feeling. That immediately, connects me to my emotional state. So that's
absolutely. No, that's a great tip, because I think we tend to, when we do write stuff down just naturally, we do tend to put it in the past tense, but we need to remember that there is only really one time, and that is now. Right. So every, now is now. You move 2 seconds down the track, it's still now. And every place we are, we're in the now. So it's important that you do write in the now, like Bambi said. Even when we write our affirmations down, it must be in the now, in the present tense. So that's fantastic. So what should listeners look for when beginning to work with their dreams?
Oh goodness, I would, I've tried to make this simple, even in the book. It's like the who, what, where, when, why, when. Were there people and animals? What was happening in the dream? You're looking for the actions. Am I being chased? Am I flying? Am I falling? Am I drowning? Looking at the setting of the dream. Where does the dream place me right now? So it places me in a jail cell, or it places me in a playground, or, you look for where you are in the dream, right?
Yep.
When did it take place? Meaning, was it Christmas in my dream? And, do I have positive associations or negative associations to Christmas time? Sometimes your timing will bring you right back to a clue that will help you to understand why this dream is happening and why it's happening right now, because gosh, then I can associate, maybe there's some family stuff that's coming up right now, and gosh, that's the same stuff that comes up at Christmas every year, and there's this dynamic, and that gives me insight. So you start looking for things to track. And so, like I said, actions, settings, time, who's in the dream. And then you start working with the images. And, a person could spend hours on one dream, Jen, I'm sure you know. But sometimes we've only got 10 minutes in the morning, to work on something. And so I would generally, if you are short on time, pick one image. Work on that image just a little bit. Do some association work with the image. I have something called the Dreamtracking tree that I've been using. that just helps to open up the associative process on a dream image, and then include the emotions. How did I feel in the dream? What emotions were sparked? Was I happy? Was I, terrified?
Yeah.
What, these are all clues from the unconscious in the dream for us that we can start then bringing into the here and now to look at and say, gosh, where's this stuff playing out in my life right now? Very insightful. But
yeah, so like you said, if you don't have a lot of time to be able to delve into it, then take one image and associate it and look over it and see what message might be trying to come through that particular image. So that's fantastic tips, Bambi. I think that our audience is now going to, one, recognize the importance of dream tracking, but also have a bit of an insight into how they can start to track their dreams as well.
One more thing I'd love to just share, Jen, on the
Go for it.
tracking your dreams. The other thing I always encourage people to do is, in your journal, use colored pens, use highlighters, draw the dream. Just some amazing work also comes out of artistically expressing a dream, and you can track it same way.
Yeah, probably not if I drew, because I'm a stick person. So, so I probably wouldn't be able to remember what my dream was telling me.
It's still such a fascinating process, though, because you're activating this creative right side of the brain, and something else comes through the body again.
You never know. Maybe it'll work so powerfully that my drawings will be able to be understood. I think I'll just stick to coloured pens and highlighters. That
works.
Well, that's fantastic, Bambi. Is there anything that you'd like to talk to our audience about or let them know about? Your course, your program, anything like that? Your special gift and special offer will be included in the playbook, excuse me, which you would have received upon registering for the summit. So, if there's anything else that you would like to add, then please do so, Bambi.
Oh, goodness. I think, yes, I will have a book out. By the time we're doing our summit, it'll be in print and it'll be available. So I'm super excited about that. But, I think I just would really like to encourage anybody who has any interest in dreams at all, just to really start picking up on what's going on around you and really use it as a tool that will actually enhance your life. And even if you're having scary dreams come on behalf of wholeness and healing. Yeah. And that is so crucial, and it's so important, that we keep in mind that they're part of a positive benefit. They're really coming on our behalf. So paying attention to your dreams, working with them in whatever way you can and have time for, literally will change your life. So
absolutely. I totally agree. And so where can people find you, Bambi, if they would like to learn more, and if they would, like to do coaching with you, that sort of thing?
So my website is bambicorso.com. And I've got a contact page on there and information on there. And then my book is Dreamtracking, Track Your Dreams and Transform Your Life. So that'll be available from numerous outlets come the time of our summit.
Fantastic. Well, it has been an absolute delight to talk to you today, Bambi.
Always a delight.
As always.
Thank you so much.